in my case, it was mainly that I don't know, no one really told me that, hey, look, you're going to be a drummer. You know, I just felt that this is something I really like, and I honestly did like it. When you're a kid, normally parents don't take you seriously for the fact that, ठीक है, बच्चा है, I'll grow up it, and maybe he should focus more on his studies. It's sad that we are just limited to the fact that our society is we're under so much pressure that you either going to be a doctor, you're going to be a lawyer, you're going to be a banker, or whatever. You're just under these certain options के आपने बस यही करना अपने ज़िंदगी में. इसके अलावा अगर आपने कुछ किया तो आप बहुत बड़े लूज़र हैं, which is so sad, because uh, our whole culture our whole culture is based upon art. We by nature are very colorful people, but for the longest time, at least my generation, we were totally confused of the fact कि हम म्यूजिक करें, हम क्या करें. It's really sad. I really owe this to my mother. I really do owe this to my mom, for the fact that maybe initially she was a little shaken of the fact that uh, ठीक है, मेरे बेटे ने म्यूजिक करना है. The reason being that why most parents have a problem with this, because they feel it would not pay off in the long run. But the fact of the matter is, the day artists started getting sponsored or started making a lot of money out of this profession, all of a sudden, I'd like my kid to be a guitar player, I'd like my kid to be a drummer, and so on. I think I was 13 or 14 years old, or something like that, and of course, at that point, playing with musicians of that caliber was something totally. I was pretty much excited at the fact that at someone of my age, or my experience was playing with very good musicians at that point, and I guess it started off from there. It started off with the fact that Amir Zaki was looking out for a drummer, and I went for an audition, and things were really nice, and it uh, it it all started off from there basically, and it then I went on to playing with this band called the Milestones. Again, a very pop rock kind of a setup, and then there came this time where I was playing for weddings, which was which is very interesting actually. There wasn't a lot of money, and the best part of that time was I never really looked at myself as the fact that, oh, ये तो शादियों में बजाता है, or something like that. I just looked at it that I'm having fun playing music. I believe that that whole essence of just playing for the love of music was very important. That time factor was very important. I was growing at that time. I was meeting all kinds of people, good, bad, and that stuff basically exposed me to the fact that life is not easy. You work really hard to get to where you want to be. May it be from a talent perspective, or the stuff that you're doing, that you're working on, or from a financial aspect, that you have to work to get to where you really want to be. Now, I did that for about a couple of years, and then I went on to playing for this lobby band at the Sheraton. I made a lot of good friends there. I played with a lot of good musicians there, musicians who would come from abroad, or even the musicians from here. Salman Ahmad would come there once in a while and jam with us. Then when I went down to playing with Janoon, we're traveling extensively, and we're gigging a lot. And I guess in about 2 years' time of me playing with them, I recorded Ishq with them at in Lahore. That's when I quit. I quit Janoon, and I decided to take a break. And I moved to Lahore for some time. Ali Noor asked me to record the Noori album, and I had been hearing the stuff for the longest time. At that point, the kind of music that he was making was very interesting for me. Uh, it was mainstream yet step ahead of most of the other stuff that was happening around. And yeah, a lot of people, come up and ask me that, how come you're not playing with Mikal or playing with a serious act? Honestly, I really do take the work that I'm doing with Nouri very, very seriously. And I find it serious. I don't know if other people don't, but I personally find it very serious. And it's always a very conscious effort of what we're doing. It's not like a shot in the dark. And I guess this, it's been a long 13, 14 years. And I'm, I just look at myself that I kept moving on. I don't know if I'm ahead of everything or I'm behind. I just felt that for me, the only permanent thing was change. And I liked it. I like change. I like doing different things. I like meeting people. I like experimenting. I like experimenting. I'm always on the lookout for something new, something that I want to learn. And I guess I could learn from my students. I could learn from a professional, and that's what really got me down to have new guys seeing me sitting here giving an interview. Otherwise, um, like 3 years ago, I was just basically behind my drums on stage playing music. For me, most of the good musicians who actually came out over the years, all over the world, not just in Pakistan, were the musicians who had to play music to survive. You can take that from a Eastern classical aspect. You can take it from a Western jazz, Western classical. If you take the history of most of the legends of music, you'll see that they played music for a living because they had to play music or they'd go hungry. But I think it's important that one must have a certain amount of pressure to do their best. There's this one time I was recording at Mikal's studio. I was recording one of his instrumental albums, and um, I got stuck at this one part where I just couldn't record it. We just stopped recording, and Mikal just goes, he's like, uh, all he said was, "Look, man, you're really good at what you do. This should be a piece of cake for you." And just those words just motivated me of the fact that I actually did the part right then. Now, the bad musician is, in by my definition, would be someone, again, who's got no direction, someone who's got it easy, someone who's got it easy. Like I've said before too, someone who's talented is not going to really impress me. They don't impress me. The reason being that you can be all you want about, yeah, I know about this and I know about that and I can play this and I can play that. Fact that if you're not hardworking, if you do not have a direction in life, then you could be sitting in your room and you could be the best of whatever you do. But it's sad that the rest of the world ain't going to see that. I have not really paid that much attention to the critics over the years for the fact that I just believe that they just don't know what they're writing about. But then again, our industry has not taken a particular shape yet. Like if you go to India, you see film industry has a shape. You can see an industry there. We do not have a pop rock or whatever, blah 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 industry. We haven't gotten a shape. We are still in the trial and error phases. So I guess even criticism is a great thing. It's not a bad thing at all if the person knows what he's writing about. And I think the critics have to believe that they have to be really responsible of the fact that they're educating the people. They're educating the masses about what's happening. So if you don't know something, please don't do it because you're misleading the people. Well, all I can say is that You label something, and then that's labeled for the rest of your life. Most people associate the media with alcohol, with drugs, and XYZ. The list goes on. But honestly, what if I told you that I know a bunch of doctors or a bunch of engineers who are alcoholics and do drugs? So would you label uh, that whole industry or the category of people in that manner? You know, it's really not important that you be a drug addict or an alcoholic to be making good music. You know, it's really not important. I can name you a lot of legendary musicians who are clean from that aspect, very clean from that aspect. Um, and like I always say, आपकी इज्जत आपके अपने हाथों में होती है. I think too much of anything is not good. When you have too much of something, yeah, it goes bad. It always does go bad, and you can't really label an industry in that manner. You cannot. It's unfair. Politics and music are two different things. Yes, there have been bands like U2 and Rage Against the Machine who've been voicing out uh, certain issues of the world, and the fact of the matter is they've been putting out a message. They've been not trying to create some sort of peace. You know that we're about bringing two countries together. You just play music, man. That's what you're here for. If you want to bring two countries together, then maybe you should stand for election and be a president or be a prime minister. If you believe that you can fix that, do that. Don't do music. You know, fine. You have a message, put it across in your music. The people will listen to it. The idea of putting a message into your music is the fact that you make people aware of a situation, not try to fix the situation. You cannot fix the situation. If you listen to songs like um, bands like Rage Against the Machine or U2, they have a message there to make people aware that this is what is happening in a certain situation in this world. This is what's happening. They're not trying to fix it. They're not trying to fix it because they know they cannot fix it. The deal out here is when you try to fix something with something that's not even related, then there's something wrong. There's something genuinely wrong because either it's a publicity stunt or then you're a total idiot. The two aspects that I see. अगर आप शादियों में बजाएं और और इफ़ यू आर रॉक स्टार और आप स्टेज पे बजा रहे हो, उससे कोई फ़र्क नहीं पड़ता. आइदर वेज दोनों म्यूज़िक ही बजा रहे हैं. एंड नो one's inferior or superior. It's not important that you go to Berkeley. It's not important that you go to the West and you learn music. Honestly, art form, no one can really teach you. No one can teach you how to hear. No one can teach you how to see an art piece of art and appreciate it. That's the best part about art is that you see something, you like it or you don't like it. You don't have to be justified about it. Honestly, when I was when I started playing, I just played music. I played a lot of free shows. I played a lot of people took me for a ride. That's totally fine. It's totally fine for the fact that I learned something from that. I learned from the fact that to date, if I'm playing on stage, I'm playing because I enjoy playing music, not because the fact that फला स्पॉन्सर आ गया वो 10 लाख रुपए ला के दिए उन्होंने. अगर कल को वो स्पॉन्सर मुझे 10 लाख रुपए नहीं देता, I will still play music. I'll probably go on Sea View, rig up my kit there and play. I honestly will do that because it's important that one strikes a balance. It's important that you make a living, so you have to make money, but it's important that you keep the essence of the work that you're doing, keep that intact. Don't You can't let go of those things.